We see you.
And we're going to challenge.
We definitely see you looking.
And we're going to challenge the criminal activity of the Minneapolis public schools.
That's absolutely right. Because it is criminal. Because anytime our children are failing at the rate they are failing right now, it is criminal. So, Minneapolis, get ready. We're not going nowhere. And right now, it might be 2 or 3 of us out here. But I guarantee, by every day this teacher strike goes on, you will be seeing more people challenging whatever you've been selling. Because right now, it looks like manipulation. We got out here yesterday, and then the next day, you got our children standing with you. Those are our children. They're not your children. Because we came out in love. You came out about money.
So I've heard that she admitted to stealing the money.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a crime and there's something to go with that. When you steal money, you said you're guilty and she's not locked up, or I don't even know if she's been charged.
Yeah, so as far as the detective that I talked to, they did say that that would be part of the investigation is, you know, if the person admits it or not. But that just because somebody admits it doesn't mean they don't still go to court. So I was told just because you admit it doesn't mean you're not still held accountable. Like, you still go to court, you still have charges pressed against you, like you still are convicted of a felony. Just because you admit it, at least I was told, just because you admit it doesn't mean you get off for it. But I was actually really surprised that the story just kind of was in for a second and then gone. Like, we were really transparent. I mean, I notified media. Like, I was like, to me, I thought this was going to be a much bigger coverage. My name is Mari Chantel Melander Friesleben. I am the principal. This is my 3rd year here at North High.
This is going to be a little message for the young brothers and sisters at North High School. You know, a lot of you have been convinced by your teaching staff to be involved and be engaged in supporting the teachers around certain issues of payment and responsibilities that you have as students to support your teachers. But one thing that's happening at North High that we need to understand is, why was there somebody at North High School that stole $40,000? And this was the North High School president of the Booster Club. This doesn't make sense. And you young brothers and sisters need to know that when people come and involve you as students to increase teacher salaries, but they don't involve you in issues where somebody can be in leadership capacity at North High School and steal $40,000 and still be walking around and not arrested, that's a problem.
Remember, you heard about Leo Lewis?
Yeah.
When that happened? Is she getting the same treatment from the district as he got?
Leo was an employee of Minneapolis Public Schools, and that was the question that I asked, is what authority do I have? What discipline can I exercise? And the answer was none, because she's not an employee of Minneapolis Public Schools.
And more specifically, this was a white woman at North High School that stole $40,000. Was this same responsibility taken with Brother Leo Lewis, a former Minnesota Viking, who was the director of the athletic department here at North High School, when Channel 11, Channel 4, the Minneapolis Star and Tribune came and blamed and actually mischaracterized his character at the time, and they said that this brother stole $8,000 from North High School. I know this might not be known by the students, but this is what happens to black men a lot of time in leadership positions.
Tonight, in a new KARE 11 investigation, a popular high school athletic director and former Viking star mysteriously fired. There's also thousands of dollars in missing cash and major questions about how well Minneapolis school leaders are protecting the public's money.
By now, you're probably asking, what does Leo Lewis have to say about all this?
Appreciate you taking the time.
All right. Well, you guys want to drill me? I got to answer.
We asked him.
What do you say to that?
Well, I say that's untruthful. I didn't steal any funds. I didn't misappropriate any funds.
Black men get held responsible for theft. Black men get criminalized for theft. Black men lose their careers around theft. But why is it at North High School a white woman can walk around and steal $40,000 and not be in jail? Why is it at North High School a young black man can die a tragic death? And death is definitely a tragedy, and we should all be shook around that tragedy. But it's a tragedy when somebody can walk away from your school and actually steal $40,000 from our children and nothing happened. It's the silence. It's the silence at North High School that's disturbing.
And this part of this money was also the Sean Hill, the young man who was killed from North High, and some of the monies that was donated by community and other people. This was some of that money that was actually taken from this account.
So it wasn't the donated money, but it was the D Hill game. So we had a whole day of
that was
dedicated to him.
Wow.
And it was the money made off of the concessions from that day.
It's the silence in Minneapolis public schools that's disturbing. It's the silence from the same white teachers who manipulated North High students to support a teaching staff, but are they doing their best job possible with making sure our black children are succeeding in these public schools?
Well, it's day 8 of the Minneapolis educators strike, and with the district now saying they can't move on their raise offers anymore, what happens next? Sharon's been keeping an eye on all of this.
Today, some of the students marched from North High School to the Davis Center, where negotiations are going on to show support for their educators who mean so much to them.
We need to draw more attention on this crime at North High School, because when any crime is committed and it's a black man or a black woman or black people, it is on TV. It's in the media. It's in the newspapers. It's on every media outlet possible.
Is that a crime what you did?
So according to the police report that I filed, if they could find evidence to prove the allegations, which I don't see why they can't, then yes, it's a crime.
And we are told that we need to hold people responsible when a crime is committed. But when somebody steals $40,000 out of our public high school, and let me be clear, I'm a North High Polar. So this is not coming out of somebody who does not come from this high school. I'm a graduate of North High. But it's a shame that the students of North High have no idea that this happened, but you know more about the concerns of a white teaching staff that are failing our kids.
It's a felony, I believe,
Yes.
and I thought that there was like a $25,000 threshold that was exceeded that would push it up to the county or even the federal level, but I didn't get any more information after that.
We're letting everybody know that a crime has been committed at North High. There's been a lack of responsibility at North High, and this is coming from a place of love. This is not coming from a place just to be critical. We want the best for our children. We want the best for our teachers who teach our children. But what we don't want is North High to be upholding some discriminatory kind of responsibility and leadership. Because we know if this was me, if I stole $40,000 out of North High, I would be arrested. If this was a student who stole $40,000 out of North High, you would be arrested.
Put your hands behind your back, Kevin. You're under arrest. Put your hands behind your back. I'm going to take you to jail. Okay? First of all, okay, listen to me. You have, none of this tear stuff. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
If this person has not been held responsible for this clear crime and this violation of even the public trust, even off of a young man's death, but they're walking around in front of our children and our families and our community, is that setting other people up for a potential risk? Because I don't know, if somebody stole $40,000 from your house or my house or Sonny's house, I don't know, and then they had a picnic the next day across the street, I don't know how I would act or my kids would act or my neighbors would act or anything. I mean, do you see that this is kind of a very irresponsible, I guess, result of public responsibility and law?
I think it's, for me as a principal, it's a safety risk. I think the imagery is a challenge. I asked both MPD and MPS, like, what authority do I have? And I was told I don't have to protect this person's identity because they're not an employee, so there's no protection that I need to offer. But I also can't exert any discipline because they're not an employee, so there's nothing I can necessarily do to them. But I do feel like it's a safety concern.
So Corinne Martin is her name, right? Yeah, that's her identity.
So she's still out. And
walking the streets.
She's out. She's not. What it seems like is she's not in trouble. And is she going to be made to pay the money back, or is this going to just be the money was stole and insurance coverage or something like that?
Well, I don't know of any insurance covering that. I mean, it's like we just said, it's a 501c3. I don't know of any insurance covering that. Now, as far as where the investigation currently lies, I don't know. I'm assuming it's still open. And if they would have closed it, they would have let me know. What I understood to happen is that they would investigate, and then she would be charged either in county or federal court.
It's a shame that we have this happening in our public schools. We definitely need to hold any crime responsible in public and in private. So the North High students, please take notice.
So, Mari, the city of Minneapolis and the Minneapolis Police Department, separate entities, just had a report and admitted that they both practice policies that perpetuate racial discrimination in the city.
480,000 pages.
Right. So let me ask you this, Mari. If I was a black parent at Justice Allen Page School and I stole $40,000, what would the Minneapolis Police Department do with me?
Raleigh was on a B honor roll twice last year. He was not at grade level. That's unacceptable. Period.
Well, grades and proficiency, they don't.
His tests were
right.
way below grade average. How could he be on a B honor roll?
And that's a bigger
twice.
issue.
That's another question that comes up.
And how is that accepted from administration to allow that to happen?
Wherever it is they need service, that's what we provide through these staff members that are provided through Title I.
How long has this been in place?
Well, this has been in place for, do you know, Mary?
Dr. Hart, am I welcomed at this school?
Yeah, you're welcome at this school.
Really?
Yeah, you are. Why would you ask if you're
I was just asking if I was welcome, that's all. I mean, it just kind of feels like since I've been challenging these issues, it kind of feels a little different. I'm just asking you a direct question, that's all.
You're welcome at this school.
With this particular booster club that was started at North, kind of almost similar to a school that we both know and share somewhat of an experience like Ramsey International Fine Arts. Sure.
Bring this in.
What?
Because I'm going to ask you to leave.
You can talk to me first.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Hey, come back to the school, because they got a police officer here now, and then they said that I can't come into school. Huh? I mean, I'm cool. They're doing some real funny stuff over here, man. Like, for real funny stuff.
If I was a black parent at Southwest High School and I stole $40,000 from the Southwest High School Booster Club's account, what would the Minneapolis Police Department do with me and those parents do with me immediately?
If this was a black male
at Southwest, at a majority white high school,
if the roles were reversed, you know, would this be a more ongoing?
Would I be in jail next week?
Would we have red flags and like would
police
this person's
everywhere
picture be?
Yeah.
I mean, it begs the question.
Well, we'll answer that question for you. Absolutely, I'd be in jail the very next week, and absolutely, I'd be all over the news, and absolutely, there would be no time that those parents and the responsible parties at Southwest High School make sure that I would never set foot on the property of this high school or that high school again. So we're going to help push this narrative that's needed. We feel like it's a severe violation to the trust of our community and our children, and I don't think we're role modeling responsible behavior when we can allow somebody to walk freely that steals $40,000. But if we know if this was one of those students over here, they would be the first ones with handcuffs on immediately, without a doubt. So we're going to push the narrative that's needed in the media. We appreciate your time for the interview. Is there any last things that you want to say?
I mean, you're asking good questions. You're asking the right questions.
Appreciate you.
There's nothing wrong with what you're trying to get to.
Okay.
Tell the truth. Call the police. It's criminal. It's criminal what they're doing. Criminal.
Call the police on him.
It's criminal.
There is a slow suicide happening. You know, if somebody kills you with a gun, it looks bad. But if they chip away at you and kill you over a period of time, you can get away with it. There's a slow homicide happening in our community because our schools are not living up to their requirement. $12,000 a year for 12 years, that's $144,000 to educate each child. And you're telling me after $144,000 a child can hardly read? And teachers got that money, and janitors got that money, and school directors got that money, and it's time for us to be upset about that. Now that's the emergency in our community.